Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Secondary Heroes podcast. This week, we're continuing our watch of Wandavision. It's episode 5 on a very special episode. This is your host, Trevor, and joining me as usual is...
Hey guys, it's Prague.
Ladies and gentlemen, I finally got to shave off this playoff beard because my team won that big bowl game, the Super Bowl. I didn't know if we can or cannot say that, but this is DeLorean Wolfgang.
Copyright.
It is trademarked. Who knows?
You know what? I'm doubting the NFL is going to come after little fellas like us. So
Without direct,
that'd be great.
explicit consent of the NFL.
Yes, what's that long?
whatever
Let's put a
they say.
disclaimer on our thing.
They have a disclaimer commercial every time. So, whatever, though. Hey, we won Titletown, USA, baby.
Your team won the big game, is what you can say. That's what you're
Awesome.
legally allowed to say.
Yes,
There
the
you go.
superb owl.
The superb owl. That's what they won. Indeed. Shout out
That's
to
what
Sully.
they want. So it feels good. It feels really good right now, but we are not here to talk sports. What are we here
You know
to
what
talk
else
about,
feels
boys?
good? People
Let's
who
hear it.
aren't sports fans, and they get to watch something amazing come to life right before their eyes.
Oh.
You're talking about WandaVision?
Yes, and that's my spoiler-free review.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Wow.
Wow, very nice spoiler-free review.
Wow. Prague, why don't you go next?
How do you follow that up? This was my once again, like I said, week after week here. This is my favorite episode so far. This is kind of like the way that this episode was presented is kind of what I always wanted out of anything live action comic book, if that kind of makes sense. Like when I read comics, it was never about like the big battle fights between Superman and Batman and those guys and. I kind of like the smaller stories and the ones that kind of affect everybody, and they're kind of a little more weird and fun like that. So I really, really dug this episode.
Well, friends, I didn't like it.
I figured
What?
as much.
I did not like it. There was nothing to it that really made me. I didn't like the whole baby thing. I just didn't like it. Like, there was nothing about the episode that was entertaining. There was nothing about the episode that really caught me, that really, like, sunk me back into it. Like, episode 4 was super cool. And I get that episode 5, they tried to intertwine it and mix that in. Like I asked for. I asked for this. I asked for this exact episode.
What you get.
And I didn't like it. Again,
I think
I think it's Wanda and I think it's Vision. I don't care. Like, that's a weird thing. Like, I want to care. I want to care so bad. I watch it every week. Today I watched it twice because I wanted to care. And I just couldn't. I couldn't care.
So, you know how me and Prague hate something and you like to go in and then by the end you hate it? I feel like this is going to be the inverse. I got this.
That's what's so weird.
We're going to make you
switching
like this.
places. It's like Freaky Friday. Wow.
Let's just say I'm very persuaded into liking stuff. So maybe you guys will have me here. But
well, it's funny you mentioned the baby thing because I was listening to the babies cry. I'm like, I wonder if he's gonna hate this episode because of this.
Well, and that's the thing. I was watching that episode right before we recorded, so it was right before my daughter's bedtime. So she's sitting in my arm, just sitting there drinking her bottle, and that first 15 minutes of the show was just two babies wailing. Yeah. And I'm looking at my kid going,
like, oh God, don't start. Right.
Don't take notes here. This is not what we need from you. And the cool thing is she wasn't affected by the baby crying, which is great. So at the same
Sure, of course.
It didn't have anything to really do with the babies though that made me not like it. I don't know. There was we'll get into it though. We'll get into it.
Let's do it.
Scene by scene, you'll know. Yeah.
Right.
So
that's our spoiler-free section, but before we get there, our spoiler section, sorry.
That's right. Before we get into our spoilers, Make sure you guys go over to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure to search at Secondary Heroes and subscribe, follow, like, all that BS. Hey, retweet, because we want people to see us. And it feels good. It feels good to see those retweets.
Good, man.
And we want to hear your opinions as well. Also, make sure you go over to iTunes and leave a review for us, because that way more people can actually see us, hear us, and I don't know, share the love. Share the love. Let's do it. Anyways, so that's your social media bit. Did I miss something? I feel like I missed something. Oh yeah, all this is free for you, and it's priceless to us.
Yes. Excellent. And so now it's time for our spoiler heavy section. Again, we did our spoiler free. Prague and I like it. Alex does not. And so now, spoiler heavy, we're going to go scene by scene analysis to dissect what the creators are actually doing, how this fits into the whole MCU, how it establishes connections with the Marvel comics from the past, and just everything all at once. So, with that, episode 5 is back into the 80s. So, we get an 80s music intro, and now, like Prague mentioned at the start, we're caring for babies. There's an all-new house. Every single decade, they've gotten a new house. Interestingly enough, if you are a fan of, like, HGTV or anything, you know that houses built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s do not have open floor plans, but TV sets do. So this is very interesting house design. Just from, I've been watching all these, like, House Hunters and, like, Property Brothers and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking at the house.
Right. Yeah, TV houses are very different than real houses. It's interesting.
I love that you like zeroed in on that, because that is one thing that I keep looking at episode by episode. Is I love looking at the new set design and how they've changed it. Like for instance, the wood in the kitchen, like how they have like those wooden bars in the kitchen. It's silly, but it's very 80s. And for this being an 80s episode, I actually was expecting to really, really enjoy this because it's the 80s, and I love the 80s. Anyways, the house was the most 80s bit that I liked about the whole thing. and the growing pains intro. That's what I liked.
So it had a bit of a growing pains, Family Ties, Full House look to the house.
Yes.
Like it kind of meshed those three together, including the intro. So that was kind of fun. You had like the whole weird stained glass thing from Full House, plus the stairs, and you kind of had the motif of Family Ties. So it was fun.
Well, and when I was watching it, I was the very intro was just the wide shot of the house, like the establishing shot of the house.
The establishing shot.
Every single 80s show does that. And
with the music cue over.
Yes. Like the nice like jingle right before they get into that, and I'm like, okay, I'm set up. I am ready for some 80s action, baby. Let's do this.
And then the baby's crying. You're like,
and
nope.
then the babies.
Nope, right out of the episode.
It's interesting though, because
so in comes that whole with the twins.
80s idea, just with the Full House mention, you have Elizabeth Olsen had the frizzy hair, and she looked the most like Mary-Kate and Ashley that I've ever seen her in her entire life. It was really funny.
Yeah, right.
I'm so glad that I don't see that connection. I don't see that connection at all.
This episode I did. I want to say. Yeah. This is probably the first time I did too.
I think I almost need to remind myself that she's a sister of them.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I know, because then that's going to take me even farther out of the episodes.
Sure, there you go. But she comes in and her hair's all frazzled and
babies
crazy.
Are crying.
Babies are crying, but I don't think her hair's frazzled just because of the babies. I think, as we find out in this episode, that she is handling a lot right now because she's having to control so many people that she is going a little cuckoo, and I think it's starting to show a little bit. So
I'm really glad that you said that, because I've found that as a new dad of a 5-month-old, I found, I don't know if maybe I'm lucky or not, but me and my wife, we actually get sick of the tropes that shows do, where the mother is always frazzled and the hair is messed up and she's got clothes that are just tattered
and everywhere, right? And
and she just, and to be honest with you, like I said, maybe it's just me, but we don't find that to be a part of, this thing of parenthood. Like,
Yeah.
I know that there's times where it happens, but like, I don't know. I think the trope is old and tired, and it's not fun.
Right. No, and that's the whole idea of it being a sitcom. Sitcoms aren't based in reality much at all.
Right.
It's kind of like the over the top, view of life is what it is.
Of course. Yeah, and I actually like that you actually you broadened it more, because she's handling a lot more people than just two babies.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
And probably the biggest person that she's handling in this entire episode is her husband, Vision.
Yeah. The big baby in the room.
Surprise music cues. That's what I actually thought you were doing. I thought you were pulling up a music cue.
If only I was that skilled.
But yeah, I mean, go ahead. So, yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so Vision, he's it's really interesting at the open because he's on fire in terms of jokes. Like, he has a few lined up really good, but then he transitions into the questioning Vision, where this entire episode is based on him more and more questioning reality and questioning Wanda and what is exactly going on. And so this is the first instance of it while the babies are crying like crazy. And so now they're starting to kind of get into it. And this is when Agnes shows up in her little jazzercise outfit. And this is when it gets really peculiar, because she says, "Do you want me to take that again?" And Vision's like, "Wanda, what did she just say? She literally just acted like this was a TV show and there was a cue." And Wanda's like, "I don't know what you're talking about at all." And so this sets up the entire episode just from this opening sequence.
It was a really creepy scene that I absolutely loved, because it was like a needle scratch. It was like, wait, what? Like, everyone kind of got jarred out of it. You're like, what's happening? Why is she breaking the fourth wall here? What's going on? And he noticed. So yeah, it does set the tone, I think, for this episode. That moment.
Yeah, again, this is where I'm like, the intrigue is hitting me. I'm like, yes, okay, this is where we're gonna get some cool stuff. Yeah, and I actually really liked what they did there. And by the way, who's the actress who plays Agnes? I can never remember her name, but
what's her name? Khan. Yeah, I can't think right now because I'm an old man. Yeah, something like that. Yes, Catherine Hahn. There you go.
Hahn. Yes, she is. What a fantastic actress that she could go from the bubbly 80s fun neighbor, I'm laughing, to, oh, do I need to take that again? Should I take that again?
Yeah. Like the creepy out of character thing. Yeah.
And it almost makes me think, like, do these other people see Vision as dead Vision, or do they see him as this, character?
I'm pretty sure they see him as whatever Wanda sees him as. Okay. So whatever we see, I'm pretty sure they're saying that. It's her projection of them. Yeah. But there is an important note that I wrote down here when she is talking to the babies to try to make them stop. She's trying to, magically make them stop, and she can't. She's like, "Why aren't you doing what I tell you?" This is the first time she's not able to control something in her little bubble. And she kind of just passes it off like, okay, I'm just going to keep going and trying this stuff. It's like she just kind of bypasses the fact that she can't control her children. Thought that was a little interesting note.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, that kind of ties in with the laugh track pausing. So, you know how you said the needle skip? The laugh track pauses completely. Like it's pretty solid with Vision. And then it stops completely. And they laughed when her magic didn't work. Like, her consciously is worried, but the laugh track still plays because it's set in this idea of this whole, like, bewitched magic idea that's still building through these episodes. And like, the magic doesn't work on the kids. But it's really interesting that she's aware enough for the laugh track to play while still being frustrated and concerned at the same time.
Yeah.
Yep. It's cuckoo.
But then Agnes is when it actually does completely pause. And again, we knew that she's, like, more self-aware than every other villager. But this one, she's like telling the Vision and Wanda and the audience and everyone that, yes.
Right. So this is like the moment where I was pretty much the whole episode is where I'm convinced that she is this other character from the comic books, who is a witch. And I'm pretty sure she is that character. Because it seems like she is talking to Wanda as if they're on the same page together. Like they have been
That's
working
what it
on this
seemed.
together.
Yeah, that's
it's not
what it
like
seemed.
it was. It's not like she was like, "Oh, I'm under your spell. Tell me what to do." It was like, "Oh no, we have a deal. We're going through this together for a reason." Yeah,
And it
You want
almost
to handle these children. You want me to hold them, is what she's telling her.
it was interesting because I don't want to say that she undermined Vision when Vision was like, no, don't worry about it. I got this.
Oh,
And
she knows he's dead. I mean, she 100% knows that. She's creeped
Okay.
out. She tries not to look at him. She's like,
Right. She never looks at him like
No.
that. And that was one of the
And
reasons
how
why.
is he?
Well, and
That's
that,
my-
no, I'm sure she knows he's, I mean, she obviously knows he's there, but that's where it kind of in the back of my head goes, maybe she sees him as a zombie Vision too, you know? That's where I got that idea, because she never truly looks at Vision, and she always kind of undermines him as well. Not always undermines him, but kind of gives that little brush off.
Sure, because she
Brush
knows
off
that
is a good.
there's no point.
description.
Yeah, it's like, he shouldn't care what he thinks or says because she knows that he's not important.
Right. He's a figment of Wanda's imagination. Or no, well, we learned that she stole the corpse, so
Yeah.
never mind. So it's
as
a corpse.
soon as, so that's jumping ahead. But as soon as they show her stealing the dead body, all I could think of you last week saying "Weekend at Visions" and that she just had it at the bottom.
I forgot about that. Darn. Okay.
I had people texting me about the Weekend at Visions thing.
Well, it's funny because he was in pieces, so they could have done like a whole marionette thing and had him dance around like a marionette. Oh my god, that'd been great. Anyways, yeah, so she does her little deal and talks about her husband Ralph again, who we never see.
Yeah.
And then the twins all of a sudden stop crying. Well, this is all kind of mixed of the same thing, but they age themselves up to 4 to 5 years old, and that's super creepy. Like, just the CGI of it, the implications of it, the whole thing was just creepy. I was creeped out by the whole. I was like, that's why.
Well, the kids looked creepy. They got some creepy actors for that role.
Well,
and for them being twins, they look nothing like twins.
One of them is actually from a horror show or horror movies, so that would make sense. He's in different horror animations.
Interesting.
I'll do it. Creepy children. Yes.
Creepy children.
Speaking of creepy children.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
We go to the intro and we get to see Baby Vision.
Oh, that's right. Everyone threw a fit with that. I'm like,
one of the pictures of Baby Vision, he looked exactly like Jim Carrey as the Grinch.
Oh God, yeah, I guess I can see that.
Like when the Grinch was a little kid in school, I was like, did they just use the Grinch and color him into Vision? Because it looked exactly like that.
That's funny. That's funny. We got to find a picture, do a side by side of that.
But I will say, this intro of all the photographs, the Growing Pains intro, I mean, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's Growing Pains
intro. You mentioned it. You said it last week. Then
oh my God. Yeah, totally.
Alex is going to love this part.
I actually really loved this intro. I mean, for what it was goofy. But did you guys notice that one of the pictures of Wanda, she's actually like, she's doing the thing that whenever she pushed that girl out of the force field last week, and she was doing the
yeah, I didn't notice that.
She's doing that.
Interesting. Okay. No, the only thing that I noticed during the intro was when you saw the series of photos of Vision with the two kids, every photo he got more sad or upset. Like it was happy, then kind of mildly upset, and then he's like straight up dour, not happy. Like he's been going through this for so long that he is now upset. So watch that again. It was creepy. I was like, why does he get angrier with every photo? So watch that again. That was the only thing that I really noticed that kind of I don't know, creeped me out of it. But I didn't notice the one.
I noticed was the song where they said singing a song, making it up as we go along. That's great
nice. I always forget to pay attention to the lyrics in the songs because I'm not good at that in general. I just don't understand lyrics when I listen to music, so I usually just don't pay attention to them. So that's a good catch.
Wow, that was a fun intro, and then it transitions straight into Monica in the hospital bed, and she's being interviewed, and she says there's the overwhelming feeling of grief, and it's just this. that kind of sequence shows this isn't just going to be like episode 3 set in the 80s. You know, we literally are intertwining what we're doing in 4 with 5, and now every episode is going to go back and forth between the two.
Yeah, I was assuming so. And it's kind of
Which
interesting
I'm
that she uses grief too when you're under, you know, like is she just experiencing Wanda's grief? Is she also experiencing her own at the same time? Is grief being used to like help subvert people in this reality?
That's
Whatever
interesting
the case,
because
it's kind of
we
creepy.
learn more about one of the villagers later on in this episode
Yes.
and tied to grief. So,
All right.
yeah.
So maybe that's kind of really, really creepy. That's some
Yes.
horror stuff, right? Sure.
I think we just figured it out then. Clearly, it's not Wanda. Wanda's helping it, but we know that it's the Babadook.
It is the Babadook. It's that
Everything
stupid
comes
kid,
full circle.
Babadook.
It's the stupid kid from Babadook. That's the one.
God, that's what it is. That's the main villain. He's all grown up screaming in the back of the car the whole time.
Hey, let's do another review of Babadook, huh?
Please, let's not.
Hopefully you listen to that Secondary Heroes episode.
Yeah, go back and listen to our Babadook episode.
What a terrible movie. What a horror show that is.
And so back on track here.
Yeah.
The fun thing we have, though, is so Monica's in the hospital bed, and who comes to see her but Wu and Darcy? So now we have this thing. Hey, audience, here's characters you know. Characters you know interact with each other. Always remember that. There's all kinds of people on this base, but we're going to focus on these 3 characters you know, and they're going to feed the audience all information. Like, Wu and Darcy essentially are the exposition people. They're there to tell the audience what's going on. It's great.
Pretty much. What's interesting, though, is when they looked at her CAT scan, they didn't say anything.
Yes.
Very interesting.
What does that mean?
Does she have...
I don't know. Tell me. Wait, you think she came out? You think she came in with powers, or?
I don't know when she got powers, but I do think she might have powers by this point because they don't say anything. It's almost like it's radiating heat or something on the CAT scan. So that makes me think that she either absorbed the mind or some kind of power. I don't know what. Or
I watched it and totally missed that.
The CAT scan thing was important, but it's also because we know Monica Rambeau already has, like, from the comics, she has a pedigree. Like, the show hasn't really indicated that. But that's a little thing they'll go back to once we have, like, her actually full on. They'll be like, remember in WandaVision? That's all that was.
Yeah, remember that CAT scan in WandaVision? That's what we meant by that. Yeah.
So this is the point where they start talking about Captain Marvel and they talk about, like, some of the other Avengers or whatever. I don't know. What was the reasoning behind all that?
So this is a fun one because I like the idea that. So were they broadcasting like it's the Super Bowl when everybody's fighting Thanos and they could see? Oh, Scarlet Witch went toe to toe. Oh, I thought Captain Marvel. Like, were they broadcasting? Who had footage of this?
It's just like the Death Star. It's just like the Death Star in The Mandalorian. It was broadcast everywhere. Everyone watched it. It's like, oh, live on TV, CNN.
Does Endgame exist in theaters in this universe? Like, could they have went and watched it at the movies? Like, was Tony broadcasting it with some like weird hologram? It's weird.
It is weird. I'm not too sure. My only guess is they were briefed on it and they just didn't show us the briefing. But I would assume that people in their level were briefed on the goings on. Is my only guess.
Who's writing the briefing?
Who knows?
Cap?
Maybe.
It would have to be Cap. Cap's the only one who would want to do something like that.
Yeah. Doctor Strange isn't writing it down.
At this point, I think it was just there for convenience sake. I don't think it. Yeah, I didn't really think too much about it.
It's
was
just
like,
a whole connection to the audience thing. That's all they are. They're like essentially spokespersons. Like, hey, audience, remember when you watched Endgame and this happened? That's
what last episode was. Yeah, last episode was that whole thing. Whatever. It's kind of funny, but it did show that Monica is visually upset with Captain Marvel. So, can you blame her? I mean, she probably hasn't talked to her since she was a kid.
Yeah, since
1993,
whatever that year was. Yeah, so she's probably not too happy about that. Anyway,
and so now we get the kind of like setup from the base's perspective. So we have the principal victimizer, which is Wanda, and we get to the fun thing is that she has no silly nickname. and everyone knows that Wanda
Not at all.
does. But
Yeah.
within the MCU, she's never actually been given that nickname.
Which I didn't realize. I was like, I had to go
Oh.
back. I'm like, did we never call her that? And no, we haven't. No one's ever called her the Scarlet Witch.
It's really
That's-
That
interesting.
was really funny. I was like, oh, that's so weird. And Jimmy's
Even-
like, nope, no.
Even in the
So what
show,
does
yeah.
that
When they said no, I'm like, really?
Well, what
She's
does
just
that
known as
mean
Wanda?
about the director? What does that mean? If he knows that fact, is he from an alternate universe? Is he someone else?
Alternate
would he-
universes. I didn't think of that perspective, but yes, I definitely see
How
that.
else would he
Prague.
know, right? He's like, their nickname. He was really hinting at, like, come on, guys, and no one said
No,
anything.
no other nickname. Like she's like obviously.
You see a witch? Come on, nothing. So I'm thinking there's something up with this guy. Obviously, he's not the best guy in the world. We find out this episode, but I do think there's a lot more than meets the eye with him.
Well, here's the cool thing about that whole like scene too is whenever he cuts off Wu goes back to talk to the other girl, and the other girl, whenever they're discussing, they're like, yeah, what do you think of the director? Well, I don't like to talk ill about people, but he's a real, and they're about to say he's a real dick, but right before they say that, they cut him off and they cut to the guy and he says terrorist. And I'm like,
Yep.
ooh, I think they're
Clever
doing something here.
Yeah. That's some clever editing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they were trying to say that maybe he was a terrorist. What's he doing?
And then speaking of clever editing, we also get the Sword HQ footage where Wanda comes to get Vision's body 9 days ago. And it's set up to the audience very specifically that Wanda comes in, she's purely evil, she's meant to like just kill people, to throw anybody out of her way. And, you know, it's edited very specifically for his purposes to show to everybody there.
Yeah, really paints her as a villain the way he edited those that footage together for sure.
Yeah.
What
So,
would they
I mean,
do with his body?
Okay, was this something that we see in the movies somewhere?
No, we know.
Okay,
no
we
one-
don't know what, like his body is literally left by Thanos and that's it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
he was dead. We have
it
no
could
idea.
be that she's not really like evil in this part, or she's like going in there and she's like, I'm totally evil and I'm taking this
we don't know.
machinery with
Yeah.
me.
Or there's mind control to her. We
Right.
also know that Wanda's super easily convinced to dark things. She doesn't have much own thought by herself. She's easily swayed into whatever direction is possible. And also you have the idea that Wanda got snapped away, right?
Yes, she did.
So she hasn't had 5 years to grief that he's died.
No, it was immediate. It was like right now. She was
Yeah.
in the-
She comes back and she remembers everything that Wanda's been gone. So, or the Vision's been gone. So give her a little time, maybe.
Yeah, they probably should have given her like her own little space for a while. Like, here, go play in there for a year. Okay, well, we're here if
That's
you need
kind
it.
of what she's doing right now.
Yeah, but they yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
I think somebody is trying to make her into a weapon, a villain. Is my
Mhm.
guess. So
And then we get the what happens when he learns the truth in reference to Vision, which that's just a fun thing to bring up.
But here's the thing: it's like if he's essentially he's dead. We all know that he's dead. He doesn't have the stone, or what is it, the Mind Stone? How can he? I guess I'm not understanding how he can really be more. What are the words that I'm looking for, guys? Oh my god!
Well, don't forget that Wanda just brought 2 babies to life.
It's true, but he's machinery. It's not like he's got a soul to him.
That's the whole dynamic of the comic book.
Oh, okay. See, I guess here I am, not reading.
it's okay.
Okay,
It happened.
let's just move on.
Because Vision is actually based on human personality traits, and in the MCU at least, he's still based on Jarvis, which does have its own personality from Tony, and so
Right.
he's not fully just a synthetic organism.
Okay,
So
noted.
he could,
The,
Wanda could potentially bring life back to him, but the soul realm and the whole idea of souls is interesting because that's what kind of the crux of what Wanda's doing is going to open up a can of worms with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is you guys sitting here going, you know what's happening.
Well, no, the thing is, this is actually referenced later on by the kids. That's what's so creepy about this whole thing. And so speaking of the kids,
anyways, yes. Okay.
they so the next we see them, they have they're standing in front of the sink and they're like, oh, what's going on? We go back into the 80s sitcom and they have this cute little adorable dog. So this dog was the star for this episode for me.
I knew as soon as I saw him, I'm like, there you go, Trevor's favorite character this episode.
So freaking cute, man.
Such a good actor dog, man. He was spot on. He was on cue all of his points.
All of his lines. Oh, yeah.
Except that he was never mind. He barely did anything the whole episode.
And so they Wanda specifically says taking care of a living thing is a big responsibility. And of course, Wanda has a lot of fun things that are super ironic that she just has no self-awareness of in this entire episode. And so then Agnes comes over, and so this is when Vision's like, oh, of course, someone would pop over just when we need it, and they had just what we needed. And like, Vision is totally aware of this. And then Wanda's not hiding her abilities in front of Agnes either.
No. It's too much now. She's like, all right, forget it. Who cares?
So this is kind of being a little sneaky and saying, kind of poking, saying, hey, she's probably in on this.
Right.
Okay. I kind of figured that's what they were doing, but it's, I never would have put it together that she was another witch or something like that.
Not yet. Well, there's still the idea that she always comes up with whatever Wanda needs.
That too. Yeah, it could be a monkey's paw situation.
I mean, that's a sitcom thing. That happens in just about every sitcom. So, I mean, it could just be
she specifically playing this role, though. It could have been anybody.
That's true.
Yeah. No,
but then we have this whole sequence goes to the kids become 10 when they think about it. So when they go from babies to 4 to 5, we don't realize it. But this, it's off camera. This one is specifically even creepier because they literally think about it and they age themselves up.
Yeah, they're like, oh, that sounds like a great idea, Mom.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. That
can't control them.
I was just glad that they got new actors because the other ones were pretty creepy. These guys were a little less creepy.
You didn't like the little kid talking about the dog, the little puppy?
No, not the little 4-year-olds. Didn't like them.
So now we transition back to the base. And in this one, Darcy refers to the anomaly as the hex because it has a hexagonal shape. But we know that Wanda's powers are hex magic. So, of course, it has to be the hex.
Yeah. They keep confirming everything that I was talking about from day one. So yes, it is hex magic. It's the hexagon. So we're pretty much confirming a lot of stuff here finally. So that's kind of fun. Ha! You call it the hex. It's a fun little line.
And so then we get to the rewriting reality sequence of we go to Visions at work. And this is the whole really weird aspect because on the outside, they're going to try to send something in because they're like, Wanda can change reality. What if we can change her reality if it doesn't have to? Because they give the example that we sent, something in from our time and it changes. So what if we send something from her time in and it doesn't have to rewrite reality on the fly when it's sending in? And so they send the email in and everyone reads it aloud. Well, they send a drone in. The email is separate. The 80s drone actually goes in, but the email sequence with Vision at work where everyone reads it aloud is super creepy.
It was so creepy. I loved it. It's so Twilight Zone.
Well, and
because he turns around, like, why is everyone talking at the same time?
It's totally Twilight Zone.
Well, the whole email thing, though. I mean, it was supposed to be an 80s sitcom, and they're talking about email, and they're looking at like Apple IIs. Yep. I don't know. It was weird.
So you're saying you didn't like that scene?
Not really. Didn't care for it. I liked whenever he snapped that guy out of his little hex or whatever. That was pretty interesting. But then I was glad that he put him right back into it because. All right. Stop talking.
Too much emotion for one.
And so Vision works at Computational Services Inc. and he's starting to freak out. And so he realizes that he can interact with the environment just like he was able to in his past. So this is going to be really interesting when we talk about Vision's past life once we get to the end of the episode, because there's a lot of enigma stuff. But anyway, he figures that out, and so he does it to Norm, and he snaps Norm out, and Norm is screaming that she's in my head, make her stop, where's my sister, where's my phone? So Vision has this reality that Norm is not this guy. He's a completely different guy. And so he just snaps him back in because there's way too much information, but it gives Vision kind of a confirmation that Wanda is doing everything to everyone.
Well, and one thing that we don't want to miss out on either is everybody who's been snapped out of it, from the girl who got kicked out to this guy, they all say the same thing, that they're in excruciating pain. Like it hurts being under the spell.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
I don't know why, but I feel like that's kind of like an important bit that needs to be.
Oh, it sure is. I mean, it paints her as the villain once again. It's like showing her that what she's doing is not good. Like she might not have done it.
Care. Yeah.
Yeah, right. These aren't just random like generations of her imagination. These are actual people that she transported into this world and puts it under this horrible, agonizing spell that kind of processes her own grief. They have to experience what she's experiencing while they're there. It's a whole...
It is scary. Hostages. What I did find interesting, though, is that he kept saying her and she. He never mentions Wanda by name.
Yeah. Yep.
I was like, why doesn't he mention Wanda by name? Is he actually talking about Agnes?
Well,
or somebody else?
He doesn't.
Why would you use the pronoun game there?
Well, he also doesn't interact with Wanda at all. Maybe he just...
Yeah, but you would think that you would hear that name at some point in your subconscious. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm just saying it was a weird choice. I wonder if it was deliberate, though.
I like that. That's actually pretty interesting. That's cool.
Creepy. So now we get back to the kids, and they're like, "Where's Dad?" And she says, "Oh, he's at work." And they're like, "But it's Saturday morning." And so Wanda gets all tripped up. It's Monday, and oh no, it's not Monday. It's this whole like the kids again are showing that her magic doesn't work on them, and they're kind of extracted out. And then the kids bring up the best kind of crux of the entire episode. Do you have a brother, Mom?
Why'd you have to say that? Why?
I never understood. Like, why did they bring that up?
Because she was talking.
They're little evil troublemakers.
Oh.
Talking about how they were always going to be each other's brothers. You're going to be his brother, and you're always going to be his brother.
Oh, like, yeah.
Right? You have a brother. That's why it happened. Because kids do that. Okay. They're like, they're curious. Like, I have a brother. Right. You have a brother? Who is that brother? But before that was a very important part where they taught the dog tricks, and the boy who plays Wiccan does this whole thing where he touches his head to teach the trick to the dog, which I thought was interesting. A little telekinesis there.
Huh. I was dealing with a crying baby there.
Actor dog keeps excelling. That's all that I know from that sequence.
Because Billy does a very good job with his telekinesis.
It's so good.
Oh, right on.
But yeah, so it's great to see the kids starting to develop their powers. Like oh, he obviously is telekinetic now, so that's cool.
But again, the brother thing's a big deal with Wanda because whether it's subconscious or not, once we get to this end of this episode, the question is going to spark it. You know, she threw Geraldine/Monica out because of this question, and now one of her kids asked the same question, and whether she's purposely trying to do this or not, this is manifesting itself just by popping it in her head all the time.
Yep, it's happening.
And so the drone from the 80s, we get, this is kind of explains away question marks from previous episodes where they're like, how come the drone isn't on the feed that we're viewing? It's a jump cut. You know, the camera's focused on Wanda. Why can't we see the actual drone? And so it just explains that Wanda sets what is aired. Not only is she creating the entire show, but she's also overseeing the camera angles of everything.
Gosh, she's like the Kevin Feige of this show.
Yeah, there's so much work to do to create this little West view.
Insane. No wonder she's going crazy. Okay.
But this drone is actually important. So Monica specifically says the drone isn't armed, but we have director guys saying take the shot, and she's like, "What? What are you talking about?
What?
It's a surveillance drone. There's nothing to shoot."
How dare you betray me?
But then at that point, all of the cameras go down, and we don't know what happened. We don't know if they actually shot the missile. We don't know if they shot at her.
I assume
or
they
anything
did,
like that.
and like the feed died, right? It's like, oh, did they actually blow up everything? What happened, right?
Right. And so we get the alert. There's a breach at the base, and then the broadcast goes offline, and then Wanda comes out of the force field with the drone, and all the guns are aimed at her. And she says to Monica, "You're still here," which that was interesting.
Yeah.
What did she expect?
Yeah, are you gonna leave? Run away, scared? I don't know. Who knows?
That was a weird one. That you're still here. Like Wanda's fully aware that people are outside of her force field, and even trying to get in and doing stuff. And like, I just don't know what kind of connection did she establish with Monica to even. Because it was almost like a friendship rapport, the way she said it, just in tone and everything.
I don't know. Or maybe she just thought, like, oh, wasn't that enough to get you off my trail? Like, leave me alone. Like, I told you, leave me alone. Blast you out of my house.
She specifically tossed her out not to kill her. Like, she could have killed Monica, but she specifically tosses her out so she doesn't die.
Right. She wants to protect her, but she was hoping that she would have left her alone. Like, okay, I'm going to go off now and let you be in this bubble. That's my guess. That's my. But anyways, this is my favorite scene of the episode.
So yeah, this is the cool thing where Wanda's accent comes back intermittently.
Yeah.
This is like, I think Elizabeth Olsen doesn't remember how heavy her accent was in Age of Ultron, which was like 2 years ago or something. But it's like she selectively chooses words that have an accent. Other times she sounds just like Wanda inside the force field. It's really fun. But
my
anyway,
guess with this part is actually that, like, whenever you have somebody who is going through trauma and they're from a foreign country and their accent goes away, they end up retaining that accent when they're in moments of like panic and grief and stuff. That's what was happening there. So just FYI.
Maybe
Really?
I don't.
It's a true thing. I studied a lot of psychology.
I don't know that whole scene with her,
the whole repression of it.
Okay.
with her out there and the guns are all pointed at her and she's got her glowing eyes and glowing hand thing.
Best scene ever, huh? I know.
Maybe I just don't like her.
You might not. That's okay. You don't have to like her.
Because she's supposed to be menacing, and she's supposed to be. I mean, in this scene, she's walking in there dragging a drone that's practically on fire, and she tosses the drone like it's a piece of paper. And I mean, she's out there meaning to be menacing, but when I look at her, I'm like, it doesn't do it for me. I don't find her to be menacing. I don't see her as this character, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. You're one of the few, but you're fair enough.
Well, I'm sure that there's...
No, it works just because she does the whole mind control flip, where all the guns are then pointed at the director. That's what makes her menacing. It's not having glowing hands or glowing eyes or anything like that.
Right.
Because mind control, it's like the whole when... The first X-Men movie where Magneto comes and he turns all the guns on everybody when Charles is trying to stop them pulling the bullets. It's the same idea because Magneto is going to hopefully have an impact on the show. But
I'm making you blow both eyes now.
That's called blinking.
It's that whole analogy of it, of just to kind of show that, again, we're building Wanda to be evil. And I guess that doesn't necessarily have to be menacing evil, but just evil at heart is enough.
But the guns thing, the guns thing was awesome. That looked great because all of the gunmen were all in unison and all very sharp with their movement. And I think
she was controlling them all at once.
It looked great. It looked, it was visually just perfect and beautiful. I loved that. But her in the scene just, I don't know. Maybe it's her hair. I don't know. I just can't see her as this bad.
I like that she did have her outfit back, her little red jacket and black pants.
OG outfit.
But
she was wearing that the whole time.
I think the intimidation factor is just that she controlled all the, like, what can these outsiders really do? They can't really go in. They know that that's not going to work with Monica. If she comes out, they can't do anything with whatever they like. She can just have them all shoot themselves if she wanted to. Like she can control everybody at once. So I don't know what. Like if you're that director guy or you're anybody there, you're like, well, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
Right.
What are you going to do? She is menacing.
And
See?
that now it jumps back to the question of what happened to the beekeeper?
What happened
That's
to
true.
the beekeeper?
What happened?
Is he a townsperson now? Is he dead?
What was the point of even having the beekeeper if he doesn't show back up? So I hope to see him again.
I'm sure we will.
Thoughts and prayers.
That's right.
And
Be
so then we
well.
get a commercial break with the commercial for Lagos paper towels with the tagline, "When you make a mess, you didn't mean to." And that's where Wanda's at right now, as we'll find out as we go in this whole episode. But in case you don't know Lagos, this actually isn't a comics reference. This is an MCU reference. It's the start of Civil War, essentially. We get to see the thing that Wanda did that caused the whole riff of everybody and everything.
Yep. The Sokovia Accord,
God.
I believe
Yeah.
that's what they call it.
So
You
MCU.
know, I
made a
have
mess.
to go
Shout
back
out.
and watch that because
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my god.
You have to actually watch Marvel movies, sir, to get this show. I'm sorry. Poor Alex.
And then we
so-
transitioned back.
Go ahead.
So the commercial's over. Again, it's the same people. The husband and wife are the same people we've seen, just as a head up. But we go back, and this was the saddest scene. Agnes has dead Sparky, which this was almost too much to take.
What was the
Almost too
excuse? What was the excuse?
He
Did
ate azalea leaves.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard, and I was like,
But did he?
die from that?
But
Yeah,
did
but
he?
did he?
Suspiciously, she happened to have him.
Yeah. Out of everyone, they didn't find him run over in the street. She just has
right.
the best character in the show dead.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Something suspect with that, the Agnes.
Yeah, because it was very weird. Honestly, when I first saw the dog at the beginning of the episode, I was like, "Oh no, they're gonna kill this dog."
Yeah,
I
knew
knew
the
right
dog
away.
was
I was
the
like, yep.
dog.
I read the comics
Because it was
now.
so freaking cute, and I'm like, "Yep, this dog's gonna die," and it sucks that it totally did die.
I did. Yeah, sorry.
Ah, that poor little dog. Great actor,
But-
dog though.
The reason this is brought up is because we have the very fun quote by one of the sons. "You can fix anything, Mom. You can fix dead."
What a great line. She's like,
Yeah.
you can do that?
Well,
So-
and she keeps telling them. I mean, she's sitting there fighting it, saying, "No, hold on."
Well, this is when Wanda goes into the whole thing of when someone or something dies or whatever, you have to move on. All the stuff that she's not doing with Vision. She literally explains to herself what she should be doing with Vision, that she can't actually do it all. But the whole idea that you can fix dead, suggested by the kids, with Agnes right there, and the whole fix dead and the whole soul realm. See, this gets into the whole idea that it's a passage kind of to the netherworld, to the soul realm, to get people back from the dead. That's what this whole, like, Wanda's unaware that she's opened up this whole portal of things, and it's just gonna. That's what this
Gonna be
whole
crazy.
implication is.
It's gonna be Agnes. I just love the way Agnes says that too. Like, you can do that. You can bring people back from the dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
duh. Come on, you know that's Agnes. Weirdo.
Yeah, because once she shows this, it shows everyone who is dead, they want a ticket to what Wanda's able to do.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Wait, what? What do you? Huh?
Wanda brought somebody back from the dead. Her
Yeah, the
husband,
main character.
Vision.
Yeah, Vision.
Right,
But
and then she also
Everyone's gonna
created
wanna
life
do that.
out of
Right.
thin air
Okay.
with two
Just
kids
like
who
you,
are standing
Alex.
walking around.
Wink. Okay. Yeah. I thought that there was maybe a deeper,
No, it's pretty much
straightforward.
on the
just like a-
surface. Yes, straightforward.
there was no like back meeting or anything like that. That I
The
was
only
trying
back
to
meaning
hope
is
for.
that the kids are actually creepy little incarnations of stuff. That's the only back meaning.
Okay, got it. All right.
You tell that she's starting to think about this stuff, like her own reality is breaking because she stares off into space, like, oh God, what have I done? Like, what is really happening here? Like, there was a moment where she
Well,
just
and then
kind of a bit.
yeah, and then she like stops the kid. She goes, "Don't grow up right now. Don't age yourself. Don't age yourself.
Yeah.
You have to live in this moment right now, or something like that."
You can't rush aging.
Yeah. By the end of the episode, they'd be 90 years old.
Right.
And so the fun part of this whole sequence, though, is that these were very awkward moral discussions. And in an 80s sitcom, they have moral discussions that are always wrapped up in a neat little bow. And the end of 30 minutes or 22 minutes to send you on your happy way.
Right?
Like,
Danny
look at
Tanner
this
comes
sitcom.
in upstairs, sits you down on the bed, and has his heart to heart with you. Yeah.
And so to do it within the context of the 80s sitcom, I think is the perfect timing to have Wanda try to explain away the bad behavior that she's doing and all of the unintended consequences that are going to happen just because she can't have like a basic moral code.
Yeah. Wow. I like that. I don't know. There's much more to say about that.
And so that completes that sequence. And so now Vision gets to come home. So this is the first time we've seen Vision since he talked to Norm. And so I didn't know when he was going to encounter Wanda on this idea. And he does it this episode. So he literally encounters Wanda on, what are you doing with Norm's mind? I literally talked to Norm. What are you doing? You know, and then he's like, you can't control me, because she's trying to just pass it off as nothing and just go back to, and then she says, can't I? And rolls the credits.
And then, they all laugh.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone laughs. Cue laugh track. My favorite. Cue laugh track.
But Vision's not going to let it go. And so now we get to the whole arguing idea, and then they fly up into the sky together because this was goofy. I will admit, Alex, this was super goofy when they both flew up into the sky to yell at each other.
Oh, I wanted to die when I saw it.
But it was classic, like what you would expect from a TV show like that.
It was classic stupidity at its finest.
Yes.
I didn't
And
like
so-
it. I hated that. Hated that.
Hated
This is
it.
when Wanda brings up, you're not, it's kind of like, you wouldn't have questioned me before or whatever. And so Wanda said, or Vision says, what before? I don't remember anything
remember.
before. I don't remember anything before Westview. That's
Yes.
all that I remember. And so the really interesting thing is, how is he aware of anything that he says following this point if he's truly unaware of anything before Westview? Because he has this core idea of what Wanda's capable of. And
Right.
but he shouldn't be able to have any of these ideas because he shouldn't even know what he's capable of himself if he doesn't remember anything before Westview.
Right. Like even
Are you-
email. Like the whole
Are you
email
thinking-
scene.
Are you
Sorry,
thinking
go
that maybe he is manifested not by Wanda, but maybe of somebody else, possibly?
Or even like a rebooted version of Vision. Because Vision,
Right.
you could still have like a backup version, right?
Right? Could be. It's a lot to answer there. It was very complex to think about what is going on with that character.
Because this gets
Like, is
into
he
the whole
real? Is he
morality
not?
of androids.
Morality,
Of
yes. Yeah.
if they make memories and they have like human emotions and they establish that whole sense of identity, but then that version dies and then there's a new version, are they the same person? It's kind of like baby Groot versus adult Groot. You
Right.
know, adult Groot died. He doesn't have any of those memories. Once he's a brand new Groot. So it's
Yeah.
the same idea with an android. Once you can reboot something, is it
It's a
the
whole
same
different
person?
Right?
And that gets into the whole soul identity. It's a lot of moral ambiguity of androids and human identity.
It's like
And
Westworld.
self-worth. Yes.
Yeah.
It is a lot like Westworld.
Great show. Great show. Nice.
Westworld season 1. Yeah, the good one.
Whatever. Season 3 is great.
Can
Season
I
2.
can I skip season 2 and just go straight to season 3?
No.
Never mind. Oh, we're not talking Westview. Westview?
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 Westworld.
Oh no!
Oh, it's the same thing.
Oh no! What did we
It's the show
do?
within the show.
There's a glitch in the Matrix. The machines are coming.
All right, then there's someone
And
at the
so-
door. Huh?
Well, before we get to the door, she says, "You really think I'm controlling everything?"
Oh, yes.
And so That's a big line, because then Vision is wondering the whole idea. I know of the Maximoff anomaly, and I have to believe it started out subconsciously and then recently you became more aware of it. So they're both kind of feeding at the same idea that Wanda started this, but she didn't do it purposely to create all the problems that have arisen.
Exactly. And she doesn't remember when it started either, is what she says. She's like,
Yes.
I don't know when it started in the first place.
So that kind of goes onto that video 9 days ago where she does the security breach to get Vision's dead body, that she might not have been self-aware of what she was doing.
Yeah, or under someone else's control because they found out that she was in grief. Like, perfect opportunity.
Again, back to the Babadook. Yes, Babadook is controlling Wanda. Boy. Yep.
That guy.
Full circle, man.
That kid.
He's a demon.
Yes. All right.
Yes. Okay.
Ding dong.
So just Vision's awareness is all questionable. But yeah. So then the doorbell rings because they didn't know how to answer or follow up these, because they kind of just left ambiguous questions for the audience. So then we have to transition to a doorbell, and she answers the door, and all we see is Wanda has a shocked face, and then we go over to Darcy, and then Darcy has a shocked face, and then we see from behind he has Quicksilver's hair, who is actually Pietro, who is Wanda's brother, and oh my god, it's from Age of Ultron. Wait, no, it's Quicksilver from Days of Future Past and the whole new X-Men Fox movies, and it changes the whole idea of the entire show and the entire MCU, and the implications of this reveal are like the biggest thing the MCU has probably ever done.
Told you it was going to happen, I guess.
Hold on. Before we get to that, did anybody else, at least myself, this is what happened for me. When she opened the door, and she's telling Vision, I didn't control that. And
that's important. That wasn't me. I swear.
That was not.
And I believe her. I don't think that was her. Maybe.
And Vision's like, after with everything that's happened so far, it's kind of hard for me to believe you. Anyways, so when she does go open the door, and you see this shocked face, at first I'm thinking, oh, son of a, come on, you're not gonna throw this to credits now, and now we're not gonna know. I thought it was gonna go to credits, but instead they pan over. You see the gray hair. My first reaction was, that is Cap. Cap's here.
That was actually, I have to say, that was actually my first inkling. I thought it was Old Man Cap who came.
Old Man Cap.
And I'm like, how is he going to convince her to get out of here? Like, what kind of words of wisdom is he going to have? But then I thought, okay, no, maybe it's Hank Pym, because he has that same kind of hair back there, and maybe he's in the quantum realm, and he's like, let me pull you out of here. So then eventually I went, oh, okay, it's Pietro. Never mind. Once it fully panned around. But I didn't realize it was going to be the Fox version.
Yeah, the Fox version is what is absolutely jarring for everything, because this. So first of all, Wanda is talking how there's like even Vision. It's subconscious. I'm not in control of it. I don't know what's going on and all this stuff. And so we've hinted at the idea that Wanda's going to break the fabric of reality. And this is how you create multiverses, because the core reality is broken. And so to have bringing Pietro back from the dead from Ultron fits in with the theme of the show. Like, she just manifested, I wanted my brother back. Right. We're talking about bringing people back from the dead. And subconsciously, I popped him up. That's why he showed up at the door, but I didn't purposely script it in the show. But to have it the X-Men version means that her subconscious mind went out and found a Pietro who's alive.
Another universe, right?
He's actually alive. Instead of bringing one dead, she found one who's alive and pulls him through. Like, she didn't purposely think about, oh, I need to go get him. I'm going to go find him in Earth 217B or something. It just, he manifested because she desired it.
Yeah. That's why he was so weird and cagey. Like, he's like, Pietro? And he's like, yeah.
Well, I thought he was doing that because he was a part of the sitcom, because he plays up the sitcom thing.
Oh,
he
did
when he won.
Yeah, of course.
He played it up the entire time. Now,
Uncle Jesse. I'm great. I'm Uncle Jesse.
So,
mercy.
I didn't think. I honestly just thought that they just grabbed a whole nother random actor. I didn't realize that this was a Quicksilver from another movie. I just thought, oh, they're just bringing in a B movie actor to be I want to just call him Pedro. Can I just call him Pedro?
His name is Pedro.
Isn't it like Pietro or something like that? It's like,
see, I'm calling it wrong too. So there you go.
So I just thought it was just some random dude who just so happens to be who's going to be playing her brother on the sitcom, not this is your actual brother from Dimension X.
Gotcha. So the impact wasn't really felt by you, is what you're saying.
No, because I'm sitting there thinking, oh, well, that's kind of neat. Because even the girl who's outside the bubble, she goes, wait, they recasted Pedro?
Right, because she has no idea who he is. Only the audience does. Only we know who that actor is. She has no idea. She's like you. She's like, who is this guy? But if you have watched the Fox movies, you would know that that's the Quicksilver from their franchise, not from ours, from the MCU.
Which one's the better one?
This one.
It depends
on
what you think. I think, yeah, this one's the better one.
No, the Age of Ultron they shouldn't even include Quicksilver at all. It's just a waste of a character. They don't set him up enough to kill him.
Yeah. So yes, it was great. It was great. Now, here's some other things that I thought were kind of weird. When he talks to her, he says, can't I, I think I wrote down here, can't I squeeze my sister to death or something like that? Instead of like, can I get a hug? He specifically says something about squeezing her to death.
My sister to death. Wow.
And I'm like, I had to rewatch it to see, like, did he actually say that? Like, is this really not him? Is this really somebody else masquerading as her brother? That was
funny.
A odd one to say.
That's funny because I watched this 2 hours ago and I did not even catch that. That's such a interesting thing.
It was just creepy. It was like, can I squeeze my sister? I thought he said big, but I think he just said sister. Can I just squeeze my sister to death?
Like, well, what? Because that's such a, oh my God, that's wild.
That's a weird line to say. I don't think it's.
Yeah, it is.
That line I don't think it was just thrown in there. So, and who's the popsicle? That was a great line.
And who's the popsicle? That's where he jumps right back into Mr. 80s.
Yep.
Well, the popsicle indicates that he's also a dead body.
Right, he knows it. Like he's in on it.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Now we got him.
No, the implications of this whole episode are so insane because, again, Elizabeth Olsen was quoted saying that I think there's somebody going to come on the show that's going to be like Mark Hamill showing up on Mandalorian. And so me personally, I was like, well, who is that going to be? And I still have ideas of who that's going to be. I don't think this is it. No, I feel like this is more like bringing in Boba Fett. You know, there's that fan connection. It's like, oh, that's cool, but it's not the big one that I think she's hinting at. It's not like Mark Hamill to Star Wars.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's still yet to come because Paul Bettany also mentioned something about the actor that I won't mention here because it will give it away. But yeah, this is not the reveal. This is not that big moment.
Oh,
still a big moment.
Man, I'm still reeling on the popsicle thing. I just thought he called him a popsicle because he was green and red.
Oh no.
See, and here's another thing. Now this guy comes in and says that. I mean, is he seeing a zombie?
I don't know. It's a good question, huh?
I mean, are people seeing zombie or are they seeing green? Oh my God.
Yeah.
This show is so stupid. I'm over it.
No, the show is the best thing that... So again, the reason why this is so important is because it lets them say that everything is actually canon. Everything that's been done with Marvel is canon, rather than just MCU stuff since Iron Man 2008. It changes their entire complexion of the MCU because it gives credence to all those things. And so that means that timeline things are really weird. We have potential for Spider-Verse happening. When Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and Wanda is happening, this is totally a multiverse. They literally just said that all the Marvel or all the Fox X-Men movies are different multiverse or a different universe,
which is fun. This is making it a lot more fun, for sure.
Because
now,
so Alex, you said you didn't like Wanda and Vision, and I'm like, that doesn't even matter. What's so intriguing about this show is not them. It's what they're going to create and cause so much havoc that they're going to have to just deal with in so many different things. Like, essentially, they're just the match. we have no idea what it's going to burn out. So it doesn't matter if you like WandaVision. This episode was mind-blowing because I didn't think Marvel would say that those Fox movies were part of their universe. I just didn't think they would do that.
Well, and here's the thing. Yeah, you guys knew that. Myself, being just the very generic fan here, and I want to be very specific that I am very generic on this. I haven't even watched all the Marvel movies, so I don't know. But that's what makes this fun, is if there are people listening, who could possibly be like me, who just don't know, they're learning. And I'm learning too, which is making it a little bit more fun.
All right.
I think at the beginning of the episode, I said, or you said, I'm going to try and change your mind to make you think that this is better. I will say a little bit did, yes. Because you're right. This is opening up the whole universe, or a whole second universe, or multiverse, whatever. It's making it a lot more interesting. But I just hate that they went with two uninteresting characters.
That's
fair. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think who else
Scarlet Witch has a pedigree of doing this. That's why they picked her.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is there even another character that they could have put in this that would have made this more entertaining for someone like me? And I can't even think of any of them.
No.
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly entertained. I think Elizabeth Olsen is absolutely killing it with this show. Like, one of the best performances I've seen from an actress in a long time. So I'm thoroughly entertained. Thoroughly entertained. Yeah.
It is making me look forward to it every week, because when we talk, I'm learning so much more about the MCU and the comics and stuff like that it's actually way more intriguing. Like the fact that, I would have never put the connection together about bringing in Fox. Oh, I mean, we always kind of knew in the back of our heads that Marvel was going to do that, bring in Fox, all the Fox.
Well, no, we knew they were going to bring in X-Men, and I thought they were going to recast everybody and relaunch it. Because now this is like, are we going to see other? Because the X-Men is the biggest thing that Marvel had ever did before, the Avengers in 2000 recent history. And so to have them as part of the MCU through, because I thought they were just going to those Fox movies never existed. That's what I always thought. We're going to tell our story. And that's why it's just so weird but Quicksilver was a definite standout of Days of Future Past. So there's that. I'm just super excited about the potential of it, because again, every MCU movie, they give you a little stinger, oh, look, there's Thor's hammer, or, oh, this is going to connect to some future movie, or look, Captain America will return,
or whatever.
Yeah, right. But to have, this is the biggest thing they've ever done to create intrigue, because you have to wait week by week over 8 weeks, and it's going to set up an entire, and there's all these little splintering factions. They've never sent this much intrigue out at once. They've always, because with a 2-hour movie, you have 2 hours and wrap up. You're going to beat the bad guy, or there's going to be some connection of to be continued to beat the bad guy. Always, they wrap it up.
Right.
They're not going to wrap it up. When these 9 episodes end, I don't think they're going to wrap this series up. They're not going to wrap up anything that's pretty much spawned from this.
Nope. It's just as you said, the match for the fire. That's why
it's so intriguing.
It's very intriguing. Now, the thing is, I did remember until too late that Evan Peters was cast to be in the MCU. I think it was a year ago, and I'd forgotten that rumor had existed. So it was still a surprise. So I was just bummed. I was like, I remembered it after the fact, because everyone was speculating back then, would he be brought in as Quicksilver or a new character? So here he is. It happened.
Very cool. Well, I'm getting more and more into it. I'll just say that. How about that?
Very nice. Now, there is one more thing that I was not able to figure out this time. So I'm hoping our listeners, or maybe one of you two, could figure this out for me. But there was the mention of tigers in this episode.
Oh my God. I wanted to ask. There was tigers all over this episode.
Why? And I don't know why, because I can't think of why based on anything from Marvel Comics or the movies.
Because there was a tiger constantly shown, and always in focus, the tiger on the always in focus on the dining room table, and I feel like it was jumping in scene to scene. It was in different areas of the house and scene to scene.
Yeah.
I
And
kept
she says
noticing
that
it.
Ralph can't tame this tiger. Like,
Oh my God, she did
happening?
say that too.
Mhm.
Whoa.
So I don't know. I have no idea what that means. So we'll see if our listeners maybe know or have ideas.
Trevor, do you have an idea?
I figure the director's a big fan of Tiger King.
No, there's a reason for it.
I just
don't know
told
what
you the reason.
No, I don't think that's the reason.
There
I
has
really
to
don't want the Tiger King to be in the MCU.
seriously, there has to
Enough.
be a bigger reason here.
Oh, we're getting someone on board here.
Okay, well, because
nice.
it was something that I noticed. It was something that I'm like, God, they really have this tiger in every scene.
It's prominent. So yes, I do think it's something. I just don't know what that something is yet.
And when she was cleaning up the kitchen, she was putting stuff in the that was one of the things, was she put the tiger in the bag or box or something like that. And I don't know, for some reason it stood out when she was holding it and she put it in. I'm like, God, what is with the tiger? Just ugh.
There you go. Anyways, that's a lot of stuff for one episode.
There was so much to unpack, and there's so much more potential for this episode. Like, again, the first 3 episodes were fun. They were a little tough to get through. But now that they're showing their cards, again, this is like the most potential that the MCU's ever done in one kind of character arc.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys think that they're gonna continue on the 80s trend for next episode?
My guess is probably 90s.
Yeah, I think they got the balance now of sitcom, Wanda slowly losing control, Vision gaining more knowledge, and Flash to the base to show them and penetrating from the outside.
Well, I feel like next episode's going to be very Quicksilver heavy.
Could
well,
be.
I don't.
You don't think that?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know.
I think his inclusion is the reveal to mean something. I don't think he's going to play that big of a part.
No, he's the special character that came in, so.
Yeah, it's like a special guest appearance on one episode, yeah.
Did we ever do that episode, a very special episode, where we talked about very special episodes?
No.
We never did that episode? I know we talked about it, but anyways. I
don't think we ever did.
This was a very special episode then.
No, I think next week is 90s because they haven't shown us the Halloween costumes yet, and that was the big thing in the early 90s was Halloween episodes. So I think that's 90s next week. That's my guess.
Well, what type of sitcom are you guys thinking for 90s? Because this one, they were heavy on the Growing Pains and the Full House type of thing.
I don't know. Roseanne?
Roseanne was the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Because it's a little more gritty, and they could go on a little more gritty route with the next one because she's losing control every day. Yeah. So that could be
Roseanne does in real life. Yeah.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Well, that was good. That was a fun episode.
Yeah, so to everyone listening, we hope you enjoyed. We hope you have your own theories and ideas and are excited about the implications of who could potentially show up on the show down the future. Is Quicksilver going to be the only special guest? What does this mean for all the previous Marvel entities in film and TV? And what's the future hold, all from just Wanda's messing around and trying to bring her popsicle back? So this is Trevor, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bravo.
Adios, Pedro.